The crystal flute caught the chandelier light as Sophia raised it with practiced grace, her voice cutting through the low hum of conversations in the private reception hall of Denver's historic Broadmoor Club. To Victor Langford, the man who built Summit Energy Holdings from a single drill site into an empire worth over $500 million, she announced, her tone warm yet commanding, laced with just enough emotion to seem genuine.
And today?
Honoring his final wishes, my husband Marcus will step into full executive leadership, taking control of operations, the trust, and our shared future. The room froze. Crystal glasses paused mid-sip. Executives in tailored suits exchanged glances. Distant cousins shifted uncomfortably in their seats. My mother, seated near the front, clutched a lace handkerchief, her shoulders rigid as if the words had physically struck her. Marcus stood at Sophia's side, his broad frame stiff, a flicker of unease crossing his usually steady face before he forced a nod of acceptance. The applause started polite, then grew, some genuine, some opportunistic, the kind that follows money like sharks to blood. I watched it all from the back corner, half hidden behind a tall floral arrangement of white lilies and roses, the same flowers Victor had hated in life. At 38, I'd spent 13 years in the shadows of Summit Energy, reviewing contracts, auditing compliance filings, sitting through endless board revisions at my father's quiet request. No one ever spotlighted me. Sophia had once called me the reliable wallflower during a tense family dinner, her smile sharp as she praised Marcus's vision while dismissing my loyalty as small-town stagnation.
Now,
as her words echoed, I felt the envelope in my purse like a live wire against my skin. The reception had been her idea. Of course. Victor's burial at the family plot in the foothills that morning had been intimate. Raw tears, quiet prayers, the crunch of gravel under dress shoes. But Sophia transformed the afternoon into this polished event, catered Colorado lamb sliders, signature old fashions with local bourbon, a string quartet playing subdued jazz. She moved through the crowd like a hostess at her own coronation, brushing non-existent dust from her tailored black sheath dress, laughing softly at condolences while steering conversations toward the next chapter. My brother Marcus had always been the golden child, charismatic, athletic, the one who closed big deals with a handshake and a story. Sophia, a former marketing executive from Chicago, had married him 8 years earlier, bringing ambition that matched the company's growth but carried an edge of calculation. Victor noticed early, during his first chemo rounds 2 years ago, when the pancreatic cancer diagnosis hit like a seismic shift, he'd pulled me aside in his home study, overlooking the Front Range. The room smelled of aged leather and the faint medicinal tang of his pain meds. "She's got hawk eyes," he muttered, pouring us both 2 fingers of rye. But loyalty? That's where hyenas differ from wolves. He'd slid the sealed envelope across the desk that night. "Don't open it until she moves," he said simply. "When the time comes, you'll know." I didn't press. Victor Langford wasn't a man for dramatics, but his instincts had built an empire extracting natural gas and minerals across Wyoming and Colorado. He'd survived 2 acquisitions, regulatory battles, and labor strikes by seeing threats before they surfaced. Sophia's pattern, pushing Marcus to modernize, booking uninvited meetings with attorneys, reviewing trust documents, hadn't escaped him. As the applause faded, Sophia squeezed Marcus's hand, lifting her glass again. To the Langfords, and the bright horizon ahead. More claps. My uncle from Boulder raised an eyebrow, whispering to his wife. The CFO's spouse clutched her pearls. A local business reporter near the exit tapped notes into her phone. My mother glanced my way, confusion deepening the lines around her eyes. I gave the slightest head shake. This wasn't real. Not yet. The confidence in Sophia's delivery chilled me. She spoke as if Victor had whispered the plan directly to her in his final hours, ignoring that she'd barely visited the hospital during his last week, mixing up his favorite hiking trail story in the tribute video, and once calling his prized fly fishing rod that old golf thing at the wake. People clapped anyway. Grief mixes strangely with greed. Death accelerates it. Vultures circle faster when billions hover. I slipped out quietly as the crowd mingled, the mountain air crisp against my skin in the parking lot. Valet attendants wheeled carts. Heels clicked on asphalt. Trays clinked as staff cleared her catered spread. Sitting in my SUV, I finally opened the glove compartment and retrieved the envelope, yellowed slightly, tucked behind registration papers and an old Starbucks card. My hands stayed steady. I'd waited 13 years in the background. This moment had been coming. The document inside was brief, notarized, filed privately with a county clerk under a docket only Victor and I knew. Clause 17.3 was buried deep in appendix language. Dry legalese. Any public declaration of control or succession before formal board ratification would trigger an automatic 90-day asset freeze and interim trustee authority. The trustee named? Olivia Grace Langford, me. Marcus listed only as non-voting beneficiary. Sophia absent entirely. Victor had known. He'd seen her rehearsing sincerity, treating the company like a personal launch pad. Don't block her path, he told me during our last study session, his voice gravelly from treatment. Let her sprint. Build the snare. And she'll trigger it herself. The clause wasn't vengeful, it was protective, automatic, behavior-based. Her toast checked every box: public, premature, declarative. I refold the pages. The weight settling. Tomorrow, Judge Harlan's chambers awaited. Sophia's celebration would meet its end not in shouts, but in stamped forms and procedural silence. The empire Victor built to feed hundreds of families wouldn't fall to performance. It would stay with the one who watched, protected, and waited. The next morning, sunlight slanted through the courthouse windows in downtown Denver, casting long shadows across Judge Harlan's oak desk. The air carried the faint scent of lemon polish and old paper. Less than 24 hours after Sophia's toast, I sat across from him, the notarized documents and a USB with the reception transcript laid out precisely. No small talk about grief. Harlan adjusted his glasses, scanning the pages with the steady rhythm of a man who'd mediated countless estate wars among Colorado's resource barons. When he reached the trustee designation, my name, he paused, rereading slowly. The wall clock ticked steadily. She walked straight into it, he murmured finally, almost to himself. I nodded once. He didn't need persuasion. Victor's language left no room for interpretation. Public preemption equaled breach, freeze, and transfer to the named trustee pending review. Harlan signed the stay order with deliberate strokes, his aide scanning copies and logging the docket. Effective immediately. All transfers, voting rights, and executive actions halted.
Outside.
The mountain breeze felt sharper. My phone buzzed. Marcus. What the hell? Liv? Sophia's losing it. You behind this?
I didn't reply.
Explanations weren't owed. Their move had activated the mechanism Victor designed. Back at my modest townhome in the suburbs, the voicemail notification hit like a ghost. A secure legacy file from Victor's private drive, triggered by the stay order. I played it in the quiet kitchen, his voice filling the space, calm, measured, recorded months earlier. If you're hearing this, someone declared succession too soon. I didn't pick my successor by last name or noise. I chose the one who protected when no one watched, the quiet guardian of legacy. He addressed them indirectly, but clearly. Sophia. Performance isn't power. That mistake just cost you the keys. Marcus, I love you, son. But passivity handed the reins to someone else. A leader stands alone. Then, directly, Olivia has them now. Stop fighting. Protect what we built. The click at the end left silence heavier than before. I forwarded it to the board. Judge Harlan. Finance leads. And yes, Marcus and Sophia. No message attached. Let Victor speak. Flashbacks flooded as I sat there. Victor's illness had crept in quietly. First fatigue during site inspections, then the diagnosis that turned family dinners tense. Sophia ramped up subtly, Zoom calls with attorneys, suggestions for modernization that smelled like power grabs. Marcus, ever the peacemaker,
Saw a partner elevating him.
I saw erosion. In one late-night talk, Victor had me help draft the clause language with the state council. She'll call it visionary, he said, sipping water instead of his usual rye. But it's hunger. Build the trap in the fine print, no drama. Just inevitability. We'd buried it where skim readers missed it. Automatic upon violation. No court battle needed. Behavior triggered it. Family dynamics ran deeper. Marcus and I grew up shadowing Victor on rigs, hard hats too big, boots caked in red dust. He taught restraint. Observe first. Act decisively. Sophia entered like a storm. Charming at galas, but pushing Marcus to claim spotlight prematurely. Victor once quipped she had the instincts of ambition without the roots of stewardship. As the day wore on, board members replied affirmatively. One texted, clear directive. Deferring to trustee. Sophia's charm offensive faltered, calls to allies met with legal hold deflections. By evening, panic texts escalated. The tension built like a slow-pressure system over the Rockies, subtle at first, then gathering force. Victor hadn't died paranoid. He'd died strategic, ensuring the company fed families, not egos. Sophia's need for applause had blinded her to the snare. My role, once invisible, now anchored everything. That night, sleep evaded me. The moral weight pressed, family bonds tested by fortune. Loyalty versus flash. Victor's choice raised quiet questions. How often do we reward noise over substance? In the end, the mechanism worked because he'd seen human nature clearly. The emergency board session convened in Summit Energy's headquarters conference room. Sunlight filtering through stained glass accents depicting Colorado's mining history. The long mahogany table, scarred from decades of negotiations, felt heavier that afternoon. Executives arrived tense, no casual coffee banter, just clipped nods. Marcus entered first, jaw set, claiming Victor's old chair out of habit. Sophia followed, poised in fresh black attire, heels clicking sharply, her expression a mask of controlled calm, hiding fracture lines. I stood at the head, laptop ready. No preamble. One recording, I said quietly. Then we proceed. The audio launched, Victor's voice, unmistakable, filling the room like an uninvited but authoritative presence. The playback detailed his criteria. Succession earned through protection, not proclamation. You don't claim the Langford legacy, he stated. You safeguard it unseen. Silence stretched afterward. Marcus paled, eyes avoiding mine. Sophia remained statue still, mouth parted slightly, words failing her for once. General counsel broke the quiet. Evidentiary. Pre-authorized. Aligned with Clause 17.3. No ambiguity or override possible. Other directors concurred, definitive. No vote needed. I sat finally, outlining next steps. Interim control to me. Marcus retaining title but no authority. All decisions routed through trustee approval. Sophia inhaled as if to speak, then stopped. Victor's words left no counter. The meeting dissolved without debate. Board members offered subtle handshakes, nods of respect. Marcus lingered, staring at the table. Sophia's gaze tracked me out, silent fury simmering. By next morning, registry updates formalized it, primary voting authority to Olivia Grace Langford. Marcus listed lower as monitored liaison. Sophia erased from records entirely. The $500 million trust rerouted under strict oversight, firewalled, scheduled disbursements, external audits. She couldn't access a single ledger line. Attempts followed predictably. Sophia phoned finance head Mara demanding audits, denied. Defer to trustee. She pressed Director Denning for optics rollback. He chuckled, noting you can't retract a fire shot. Press caught wind. Initial stories echoed her narrative, but updates highlighted the previously undisclosed directive shifting control to the quiet daughter. Headlines shifted to themes of earned legacy over declared entitlement. Sophia deleted her LinkedIn post, the one with a photo beside the casket. Bible verse. Legacy quotes, replacing it with vague, shifting family dynamics and focus on personal priorities. Marcus mumbled about temporary adjustments in calls, but invitations to strategy sessions ceased. The human conflicts deepened in private. Mother confided her relief, mixed with sorrow, grateful for protection. Heartbroken by fractures. Marcus texted apologies laced with defensiveness, hinting at Sophia's influence. I responded minimally, focused on stability. Site operations continued seamlessly. Employee communications emphasized continuity. Psychologically, Sophia's unraveling revealed layers, her drive born from modest roots, ambition twisted by insecurity into control-seeking. Marcus's passivity stemmed from admiration turned dependence. My quiet competence, honed by years of unseen labor, proved its worth. Victor's laugh-like foresight in the clause left a haunting echo. Greed exposes itself when unchecked. Days blended into procedural grind, approvals, reviews, stabilizing the empire. Tension released in bursts, a denied contract signature here, a frozen disbursement notice there. Each reinforced the mechanism's precision. Yet evenings brought reflection. In my home office, surrounded by files, the weight settled differently, not triumph, but solemn duty. Victor's choice questioned broader truths, in families and boardrooms. Does flash eclipse substance too often? Loyalty tested by fortune reveals character starkly. The freeze held firm through the 90-day window. Reviews confirming no reversal grounds. Summit Energy stabilized under steady hands. Operations uninterrupted. Family supported. Weeks later, as the freeze lifted into full ratification, the real victory crystallized beyond documents. Sophia's attempts at back channels dried up. Charm no longer unlocked doors. Marcus attended meetings peripherally, voice subdued. I led quietly, approving expansions, negotiating vendor renewals, prioritizing sustainability amid Colorado's environmental scrutiny. A late discovery added final resonance. Reviewing archived security feeds from the reception, installed for overflow. I noticed an anomaly post-toast, a faint mechanical hum. Then a low, ragged chuckle, not glitch, not wind. Victor had arranged a subtle recorder. Personal instructions to funeral staff for a memento. His laugh, knowing, surgical, played once after her words. Not vengeful, but affirming. The snare had sprung exactly as planned. I archived it securely, not for use but preservation. It evoked tears, not just grief, but profound gratitude. He believed in the protector, even posthumously. Board dynamics shifted permanently. Directors consulted me first on strategy, respecting the proven restraint. Employee morale held. Internal memos framed changes as legacy continuity, quelling rumors. Sophia's social media evolved to curated wellness posts. Family mentions absent. Marcus reconciled gradually. Awkward lunches revealing regret over blindness to manipulation. Mother found peace in routine, sharing old stories of Victor's early struggles. The moral lingered. Inheritance demands stewardship, not seizure. Victor's mechanism asked uncomfortable questions. How do we measure worth beyond blood or volume? Greed's exposure humbles. Quiet vigilance endures. Operations thrived, new permits secured. Community investments expanded. The empire endured. Wiser for the trial. Months on, Summit Energy stood stronger, debt reduced. Green initiatives launched. Workforce steady. I passed Victor's portrait daily in headquarters, his smile seemingly wider, as if still chuckling at justice served. Family wounds scarred but healed unevenly. Marcus rebuilt independently. Sophia's influence waned into distance. Occasional gatherings carried underlying tension, yet respect grew for earned roles. The experience left an indelible mark. Legacies protect through foresight, not flash. Victor's final act posed enduring ethics. Does ambition justify breach? Or does restraint define true succession? In America's resource heartland, where fortunes rise from earth and fall to human frailty, his snare reminded that the grave often holds the last word. I led not for glory, but continuity, watching sites, honoring contracts, safeguarding families. The quiet daughter had become guardian, the empire secure. Yet nights sometimes replayed the toast. The freeze, the voice. Closure brought peace. But the question echoed, in our pursuits of power, what snares do we unwittingly trigger? Victor's wisdom lived on, a whisper guiding through every decision.